Folks, I'm going to tell you right now, this is getting very old. It's getting very exhausting. It is now day 16 of Carlos Correa watch. And right now, it's not trending in the best direction. We'll talk all about this during the stream. For those of you who have your thoughts and opinions, you can leave it into the poll, of course, of the confidence level in the Mets reaching a deal with Correa right now. Let us know. Also, type in the chat what you guys think as well. What is going on to everybody who is tuning in right now? For those on playback, I'm going to roll the intro, and maybe when the intro is done, maybe this all just gets resolved, but I highly doubt it right now. All right, so let's get started. All right, so for those of you just entering in here, hit that like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. Helps the stream out a bit. For those of you who missed our last stream, we did hit 1,000 subscribers. So now that does give you guys the ability to donate, but that is not forced by anybody. Just if you want to show appreciation for the channel, go ahead. It's all yours. But we do not urge you to do that in any way. Your attention and your support for the channel is enough. Either way, right now, what we're currently looking at is an Andy Martino report, which is 100% reliable and never lets us down at all. That the Mets are currently very frustrated with the Carlos Correa talks. And I think that at this point, what we're looking at, from the top of my head, this is definitely some leverage moves that we're seeing from both sides. And it's basically the battle of the mouthpieces right now. We all know that John Heyman is a huge Scott Boras mouthpiece. They're good friends. He definitely brings out a lot with Boras clients. Palm trees, what's going on? Hope you're having a good day. And I can tell you right now, this has just been a ridiculous saga. And I can tell you right now, if they don't bring him in, if they don't get him, if the Mets do not get Carlos Correa, it is going to look really, really, really bad. And the repercussions are going to be very, very, I wouldn't say dire, but they're going to look tough, because you already have Cohen, who's already spoke publicly about Carlos Correa. Obviously, that was when we thought that they had a deal done with he had a deal done with the Giants, but it was not official, so that doesn't really do much in his case. We already know that we got other owners that are kind of upset with him spending as much as they had. So I don't think he's going to get a very soft punishment if they don't get him. There's going to be some tampering that probably goes on if it doesn't happen. But all I can say is that this is getting old. This is getting very tough to watch. This is just getting very frustrating. We're all just impatient at this point. It is now January 6th. This all started 16 days ago. And it's, I mean, I would say like 14 days too long at this point. And I'm getting kind of upset at this point, because, you know, the Mets still have things to do this offseason. And in these last 16 days can change a lot with a team. A team can definitely do a lot of moves in the span of 16 days. The Mets have not. They have not addressed anything else. Pretty much their entire offseason has been on pause because of this entire situation with Correa. And as you know, it should be, because Carlos Correa is that type of player that you give that type of attention to. But I mean, this is going on a long, long time. And at this point, we just want an answer, and we're just getting, and we're just basically moving on afterwards, whether he is a Met or whether he is not. The offense isn't good without Carlos Correa. Isn't good enough without Carlos Correa. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not here to cope. I really am not here to cope. You know, you have, you know, how everybody deals with all these situations. It's just, the coping mechanisms of, well, we have Beatty, we have Escobar, we have this, we have that. Well, here's the thing. None of them are Carlos Correa. So it's not okay if this doesn't happen. It's not okay. I'm not going to be freaking out as to where the sky is falling and this team is going to go down the entire shitter, because it is still a good team on paper, but I don't think it's good enough to win it all without Carlos Correa. This was the big bat that they needed to get, and it's pretty much stalled for the last 16 days. For those of you watching right now, like the stream. I don't know if I said that or not. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We just surpassed 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for that. So I'd say that we've definitely had about Rosenthal and Heyman kind of exchanging reports these last 72 hours. I'd say we had when the Mets were at the moment, it looked like they were in deep talks with Correa, and it looks like the negotiations are still going on. That Ken Rosenthal talked about how it's going to be a drastic change from 12 years, 313 million. And then the next day you have John Heyman saying that it's going to have some options and some bizarre stipulations in it, but it's not going to be far off from the 12 years, 315 million. And then it started to just go a little bit south towards the end of those last 72 hours, where we got a report about how the Twins were monitoring the situation. And we also got a report about the latest from Andy Martino, that the Mets have become very frustrated. But in that same sentence, they also made sure to say that it's still likely that a deal does get done. Now, a lot of mixed reports can say different things. It can say that either this process has been picking up these past 72 hours and it's drastically changing hour to hour, 6 hours to 6 hours, midnight to midnight, or no one knows what's going on right now, and it's all being put behind closed doors, and it's basically just a tongue-to-cheek thing. Is that what I'm trying to say? I don't really know. But for those of you in here, we got about 40 people in here. Make sure to vote on the poll. Let us know how you feel about this whole situation, the current confidence level that you have on the Mets reaching a deal with Correa, because now we are on day 16 of this entire saga. And if we do get to if this saga reaches the podcast, which is episode 4 on Sunday, that would be day 18. That'd be day 18. So we're getting close to this being a month-long thing, which is not good. Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss anything on Twitter. For those of you watching right now, we do have quite a few people in here, so we usually hear from quite a few different people in here. So, if you are afraid to chat, I'm not impolite. Well, sometimes I can be, but it's not for the sake of being mean. It's the sake of being honest, and that's what we do here. Just making sure here. It looks like it's pretty much silent on the front right now after, the explosion of articles that just came out. But for those of you who missed, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So for those of you who missed what was going on this past week, We did not have a podcast episode out. I was not feeling well. We also had obviously the lack of news with Carlos Correa, basically just being the full on headline. We would have been just talking about that for an hour. So that would have just been the whole situation. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, yesterday I wasn't feeling well either. I mean, this has been basically this whole Correa situation. I feel like once it's done, once this whole Correa situation is done, um, maybe I'll start feeling better or something, but not worth it now. Give last offer, reach him and send he takes great, but if not, bring on Beatty and Escobar. I mean, at this point, you don't know when they're going to cut the cord. We saw the reports that the Mets are willing to walk away if that is something that they're going to have to do. And then, we're seeing a lot of mixed reports, and that's probably, a sign that we'll eventually get an answer, in the next, day or two. That's very possible. Or maybe this saga is just getting started. This sucks, yes. Ernest, it does. It really does. I know Uncle Steve has the money, but I don't mind him saving it for Otani next year. I mean, they the thing about Otani is that they probably still can get him with having Carlos Correa here, considering the stipulations that they would have in that contract. And they also have quite a bit of money coming off the books next year, so they could sign him. It could happen. That kind of depends. Shohei Otani kind of depends on what happens with Max Scherzer and that player option. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we all know that the next CBT, the next threshold is going to be hell. They're going to try to stop Steve Cohen from doing all this crazy spending. So you might as well just go all over the top until when's the next one? 2027, 2028. Still need a fourth outfielder and a bullpen arm. Correa saga shouldn't hold up. Acquiring those two needs. That's what you think it would. You'd think. Should we sign Trevor Bauer? No, I wouldn't do that. I personally wouldn't. I'm not really one to dwell on the whole situation of like the clubhouse chemistry and the whole this like that was just kind of like a week type of thing on the Mets end of in what was it 2021 where they didn't want to trade JD Davis or Dom Smith because of the chemistry. But I can say right now that all Bauer is a distraction. That's literally all he is. And I don't think they should bring him in at all. I didn't want him in the first place. I mean, I can tell you right now, back like with the whole drama when he goes to the Dodgers instead of the Mets, I didn't want him in the first place. So I'm going to tell you right now, it really was not as upsetting with me. The only thing that really kind of pissed me off was kind of us just getting jerked around for 24, 48 hours. And then he just goes to the Dodgers like that. Looks pretty balanced, this poll. Bauer's a human piece of yeah. Yeah, we know that. Now, did you see the trade with the Tigers? I did see that about that with Eduardo Escobar. We'll get to that a little bit more in the podcast. But it's basically about the flexibility of it's basically the flexibility of yeah. It's basically the flexibility that Carlos Correa would give you. You would be moving Escobar, who I believe that on most teams he does deserve to play every day, but he's not going to play every day if he's here. McNeil is worth more than a couple prospects. Trade McNeil for high-end pitching prospects. I don't think they want to do that. But like, unless they bring in Correa or whatever, the power protection around Alonso is very thin, and they don't really have many options. So it would make sense to get rid of one of those leadoff hitters or table setters in the lineup to make it balanced out. But Jeff had such a good year last year that that whole situation has kind of just gone down the drain at this point. But he does have value. He does have value. We need a farm update. Oh, for what's going on the Mets farm system? I don't know what you mean by that, but I can tell you that the Mets should be able to. They should be willing to part with some of these prospects because they have a lot of. They're now bringing in some of these long-term pieces, and they kind of have that future figured out. And these prospects need to play every day to get those reps. And if they don't have a spot here, they don't have a spot here. Do we have an update on Marte and his surgery? Well, he is recovering from it, and he's not going to play on the Dominican Republic team for the WBC. So that's another thing, and that's another reason why I want to see what they do with the whole situation of the fourth outfielder. And I want them to get two outfielders personally, preferably one that can play the infield and the outfield, than like another outfielder. That would be nice. Jerickson Profar and Robbie Grossman, like pair those two up or something like that. That's just an example. They mentioned think he'll be ready by spring training. I don't know, man. I really don't know. And I'm glad that I am glad that we do have Nimmo back and he doesn't have to play center field if we did lose Nimmo, because that whole nonsense about him playing center field with these nicks of injuries that he's had, going into his early 30s, I think, it kind of sucks in the matter of with Marte, because I think, it's tough to, it's really tough to like, it's really tough to see like them putting a bet on Marte to play center field to stay healthy every day with the outfield depth kind of sucking as much as it did. Because, Khalil Lee, as much upside or as many tools as he hasn't proven much at the major league level. And, your next guy down the line is probably Alex Ramirez, who is 20 years old and hasn't even played above high A. Excuse me. Do we make a trade for a bat if no Correa? I don't know. I really don't know what they do with that. I do think that they do take some of the pieces that they do have in this bench pool of, like we've said all these times, three infielders, three catchers, three DHs. I think that they use some of that to maybe get a bat or get a prospect in return that they could trade for that bat and kind of, do like those 3-piece trades. Not 3-team trades, but 3-piece trades. Kind of like how the Mets traded, Steven Matz and used one of those pieces they got for Steven Matz, and Josh Winchikowski or whatever his name is, traded him for Khalil Lee. One of those 3-piece trades, basically. I'm so confused with the Correa situation. I don't even know what to believe. Me neither. Me neither, man. I there's so many contradicting reports that like I'm just kind of basically marking them down on a list at this point. It's like, okay, 5:25 p.m. Heyman says this. 5:36 p.m. Rosenthal says this. The offense isn't good enough without another big bat. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. I want them to get another bat in addition to Correa, and I want them to also move Mark Vientos. but we can't have everything. I want them to move Ruff too, and maybe explore some stuff with Vogelbach. I don't know if they want to specifically trade him because I know they like him a lot, but I'll bet this. Marte produced for us last season. How confident are you that he replicates that? I think if he's healthy, he'll be in that some sort of a ballpark. And I also think that he is one of those guys that will benefit from the shift going away. I don't think he gets shifted on as much as most of the guys on this team, but it definitely can help. I can tell you that. He likes to slap the ball around everywhere. So that's his type of thing. So I think if you get 140 games from Starling Marte next year, it will be something that is if you get 140 games from Starling Marte, I do think they will be productive. I don't think it's going to be as good as it was last year, but it still will be productive, right? It still will be productive. Would you rather the Mets sign Mancini or Duvall? Mancini all the way. I love Mancini. He is the man. Mets fans MB, thank you for the 199. Appreciate that. You think this is a leverage game? When will done? Ooh, I mean, it's so hard to say because like you can't tell if it's like a mouthpiece thing from, two different reporters, or this is just Boras leaking to, different types of guys, because Boras is definitely paying, he's playing a large hand right now. He's definitely going here because from some of the reports that we've seen that the Mets are still looking to have, a 10-year, 12-year deal. It's most likely he's not going to get that somewhere else. But thank you for the donation, man. I really appreciate that. Again, guys, donations are accepted, but they're not mandatory. Please know Duvall or Mancini. I'm not a fan of Duvall. I've never been a fan of Duvall. He was a prolific power hitter like 5 years ago. A guy you can anchor in the middle of your lineup, but like that guy's gone. He's always hurt. He strikes out all the time. And those types of hitters are usually just the worst high leverage hitters. And that's just not what you want at all. If the Mets don't win the division, assuming we stay healthy, do you think the issue lies coaching? Well, I do think that a lot of the load is Buck Showalter making a lot of the decisions. I'm not really someone who's gonna, go after, the whole on coaching staff or the hitting staff and the this and the that, like just over the overall like environment that he creates, Buck Showalter. It's pretty much been kind of his, it's kind of on his shoulders of how that is. There's some things that I like and there's some things I don't like, but that's just kind of how I am with this team. I'm just so back and forth and neutral. I mean, if I don't like something, I'm going to call it out, but I'm not going to, I wouldn't fully go into a kind of coaching this kind of coaching staff, because this is kind of just the identity that they've kind of created, whether you're talking about pitching or hitting. The hitting, we talked about this lack of power and this putting the ball in play, and killing counts, having quality ABs. That's kind of like the approach that they have taken. Now, Eric Chavez will not be returning as the hitting coach. He will be EEE, one more time. Let me take a sip of water. I'll try that one more time. Okay. Eric Chavez will be our bench coach next year, because apparently a lot of guys in their organization see him as a future manager of the game. And if Buck Showalter does retire, I will not mind Eric Chavez being our manager, because I actually believe that too. I think he's going to be a fantastic manager. But that's a whole different story, of course. It's really sad after 20 fucking days talking about Correa, and now we have to talk about Duvall and Mancini. I mean, those are your supporting cast types of guys that they would have to pivot to, because the free agent market, they're taking a big risk here. If they don't get Correa, who do they pivot to? And we probably will be in that situation that the Giants were in, where they were kind of in that situation where with the Giants, where they had, Aaron Judge and Carlos Correa as a possibility. There was even reports that both of them may have ended up Giants, which was weird. That was weird for a little bit, but that never transpired. Neither of them were. But the Mets attached to a guy like Correa, and then they would pivot to their Mancini or their Jerickson Profar or whatever it is. The Giants got their, they got Michael Conforto and they got Mitch Haniger, and that was pretty much it. That's all they really could do, because the outfield market was definitely weird. I'm going to try to pronounce this name. Renile? Did I get it right? Let me know. I'm usually a good pronouncer. With the shift next season, our hitters like McNeil and I think should be able to get more ball. Yes. McNeil, I think. Oh, I got it right. Nice. I think McNeil will probably he'll do well. He'll do well with the with no shift. I don't think there's really much there. If he's the McNeil that he was last year with that same approach, he'll be fine. Nimmo, same situation. He's not really a tethered hitter, so I think if he he's a very stiff swing. So if he were to, he just needs to hit the right spot of the bat, and I mean he'll be fine. That's just how his swing is. And I think he'll benefit. I think he'll benefit with no shift. The guy that I don't think will is Mark Canha, which kind of sucks because I love Mark Canha. I remember him in Oakland. Do you think with them bringing in the fences at Citi Field, they'll score more runs? I mean, when they brought in that fence, I really thought that they were going to go after Jock Peterson, because that was kind of like his perfect spot where he loves to hit his homers. I wanted Jock. I really did want Jock as a potential power bat, to protect Alonso, but I guess it didn't happen. He accepted the qualifying offer with the Giants. So AJ Pollock is a fit. I mean, AJ Pollock kills lefties. His defense has definitely regressed a little bit, but he wouldn't be my first choice. My first choice as a fourth outfielder or one of those bench bats, it would be Jerickson Profar. Switch hitter, power from both sides, play the infield and outfield, give you more flexibility. A lot of this makes no sense. He's not going to get a similar deal elsewhere. I think it's just more of the strange stipulations that you're looking at, that the Mets are trying to implement into this contract, more towards the back end of it. So I think that's pretty much what the holdup is. Again, I personally believed like 48 hours ago that they had an agreement, and they were just basically waiting for it to be, full on approved by, the lawyers or whatever it was, the MLBPA or something. But that story's pretty much changed at this point. Currently at the poll, we have now 37% of you leading in not confident, which is weird. Because we have now changed 3 leading categories now with a decent amount of votes. That's weird. It's changed. So we have a few positive people coming in at the beginning, and then a few pessimistic people coming in the end. So it's interesting. Very interesting how humans work. But for those of you who have not liked the stream, please do. That'd be great. It's free. No need, doesn't cost anything. That'd be great. Greatly appreciate it. Helps it out a lot. That was weird. My phone kicked me out of the chat. Well, technology's weird. Okay. Making sure there's any updates that we're getting here. Doesn't look like it. Looks like these reports pretty much just come in clumps at this point. Mets like to do all that stuff in just like big bunches, and then it's just quiet for the next 3 days. I mean, for those of you who remember when they extended Nimmo, 10 seconds after David Robertson was a Met. So that was a fantastic turn of events. While I was making the Nimmo extension thumbnail for when we went live, I had to add in Robertson. So, I mean, the Mets are nuts. That they're just like that. 10 years, 300 million opt out after year 4. Insurance kicked in after year 7. Yeah, why not? I would do it. How do you feel about Andrew McCutchen? Prime Andrew McCutchen was the shit. I mean, if the Mets were to bring him in, I wouldn't mind it. I would not mind it. Another lefty killing guy, but he can't be, he can't play every day. But it obviously will be a better option than some of these guys. Because I mean, Andrew McCutchen still has game in him, but he's not, he's not the same that he used to be, obviously. What do you think of us getting Profar? Would you like that? I would love Profar. I would love Jerickson Profar. Profar is definitely somebody that I would sign. I'd sign Mancini. That's another one that I would definitely go after. Corey Dickerson is another one, is some outfield depth if he wants to take a minor league deal. Who's the other guy? Robbie Grossman, Chad Pinder. Those are some other guys that I would go after. I would avoid Adam Duvall. Let's see. I mean, as for bullpen arms, obviously, I'd love to bring in Chafin along with it, but I think that's going to be a little too expensive. I don't know what the holdout is with him. We haven't really seen much recently. I'd love to see them take a bet on Corey Knebel. This is my guy right here. I've been pushing for them to get, and we haven't really seen much about him yet, which sucks. I really think that Knebel would be quite the project. What's with the green screen? I used to be a gamer. I used to be a guy who games a lot, and I use this as I am actually going to change this background in whether it's a week or whatever. You'll see maybe like a Mets pattern behind me. I'm going to change it. Main the reason why I still have this up here is I'm just very white. If you can't tell, I'm very pale, and there's going to be a glare because I have this behind a bookcase. What games? Sports games, Madden, 2K. Don't even get me started on that. Webb's Love, how you doing, my man? I remember you from past streams. I'm finally at the point that if money is more important to Correa versus being a member of this team, I would see the Mets walk away. Correa is good, but he's not Mike Trout. I don't think it's really again, I don't think it's a money situation. I think it's just more of a someone feels like they're, they don't feel confident in some area, and then the other side doesn't feel confident in the other area. I do believe that Correa wants to be a Met. I do believe that the Mets want Correa. The interest is very mutual in this entire situation, but with this whole craziness of this whole craziness of all this going just back and forth, the failing the physical with the Giants and now with the Mets and everything. The Mets obviously do want to be careful because we've seen them be very cautious with long-term deals recently. I personally don't really care about the long-term right now. And it looks like this is something that does affect them long-term from what we're seeing. It's never easy with Boras. Boras is Boras. That's how he is. But you have to admit, he is good at what he does. He gets these guys their deals. And this is the guy that you got to make the deals with if you want the top tier players, when fans need to remember this, the Mets don't need Correa, but Correa does need the Mets. I think the Mets need Correa too, personally. I think the Mets need Correa. Uh, I'm an ex Long Island. I'm upstate. Um, I saw Islander for a second. I'm a big Rangers fan, so I was like, damn it. But no, lose games regularly. Correa would be miserable. Well, yeah. Well, the thing is that um the Mets definitely need Correa. I do believe that because I'm not really willing to cope with the fact that, we do have these options who could be stars. Um Front office let this drama goes like this. Yeah, I mean, you're always just going to have drama with a guy who fails his physical. That's just how it is. Most of these negotiations always have this drama. Near Copelskill went to Alfred U. Nice. I'm more Dutchess County. That's where I'm at. The front office. I mean, I think they're just trying the best that they can right now. But if something goes south, they go south, and they're going to have to walk away. Going from Correa to Escobar on opening day would be depressing. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. I think there's just too much of a connection for them to just, give up in sight right now. The Mets will be fine without him. Escobar, 20 home runs and 20. Well, here's the thing. Correa sets them over the top. And yes, you do have Eduardo Escobar and you do have Beatty, but none of them, they haven't proven that they are this difference maker on this team. And, just bringing back the same hitting core, it's not going to get the job done. I mean, we saw what it did in the playoffs. It did nothing. They got one hit in a winner go home game. So they needed a little extra in this lineup. As much as I love Beatty, I think Beatty's fantastic. I think he's going to be a great player. I mean, personally, I believe that he's more of a left fielder. He's kind of just built like it, and he's kind of just has that advantage to play left field. But, I wouldn't mind Machado when he's a free agent. That's another thing. He could opt out. There's been news about him possibly opting out, and he most likely will, making $30 million, but he can definitely make more. He's an MVP candidate. They have to dig a little, but who doesn't want to play baseball for a job? They should find someone who work. Yeah. And he's young too. How old is Machado? He's 31. Any Machado. 30. So he'd be 31 entering the Mets if they were to get him because he's a free agent next year. 30. Okay. Don't sleep on Mauricio making the team out of spring. We'll see, even if he has a spot here at this point. I mean, again, I'd love to, put some trust into these prospects, but, this is a win now team. They want to win now. Your timer with Verlander and Scherzer has been set. It's 2 years, and they want to win right now. Ohtani's available in 2023, Juan Soto in 2024. That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. What's my gut feeling with Correa? I think we get probably more spam reports in the next 48 hours, and then we get a decision. What do I think will happen? I think that one side is eventually going to budge, and the Mets will end up with Correa. But yeah, fourth outfielder made a huge turnaround this winter. Oh, Mauricio? I don't. Has he even played the outfield yet? I know he's played some third base in the Dominican League. Something will happen tonight. The Mets are known for late Friday night thunder news. Yeah. I'm waiting to turn this. I'm waiting for when I turn this stream off for them to sign him. if he signs with the Mets. Yeah. You can always have that opinion about it. Like if you're confident in your prospects, you're confident in your prospects. But you can't really like bank on these guys producing because they haven't proven that they can. So, and once again, Correa is a guy that you could build something around. He's only what 29, 28. This guy, he does have quite a few years left in him. It's kind of like, the whole situation with Rafi Devers. He's only 26 years old for what he just got paid. That was such a smart move by the Red Sox right now there. And then that's something that you can't really say much because the Red Sox have definitely been making some puzzling moves recently. Yeah, he turned 30 in July. Yeah. I'd love Manny Machado too. I'd love to have him. I know he has that huge relationship with Buck. We know he does. He loves Buck. We all know that Trey Mancini likes Buck too. So we do have some of those connections. Mauricio is better than Beatty. No. No. Mauricio having a good spring, not having a good winter there, but as in terms of just like overall player, it's Beatty. Beatty's a better player. You will see. Yeah, who knows? We don't know what these guys will be in the majors, but from what I like in a player that I think translates better to the majors is definitely Beatty over Mauricio. I do think that he's better than Mauricio. I don't know, but Mauricio has a high ceiling. We know he does. He has a lot of upside. He does. Still very young, 22 years old. Correa signs. Would you try to do this trade? Mets get Hendricks and Jimenez. Well, that's funny you mentioned that. Because we actually do our most recent video is about that. Right here. I can pop it up here. Hold on. Hold on. This is our most recent video, actually. 3 potential Mets trade packages for Liam Hendricks. For those of you who have not seen it, it's right here. Right here. Right there. Most recent video. Vientos, forget it. Yeah, I'm not really big on Vientos or Mauricio. That's just me. But those of you who like them, you can like them. I'm not gonna go after you. If we sign Correa and we deal Escobar to the Tigers, what do you want back from the Tigers? Pitching depth. That would probably be nice. A bullpen arm and maybe a starter arm, something like that. A swingman, a Trevor Williams type of arm. That'd be nice. You'd think a deal would get done with Correa today or tomorrow because Cohen is supposed to be at Citi Field tomorrow. We'll see. If it doesn't, and he's in the public eye while this is going on, then we all know where the mind is going to be focusing on. Contract details for Michael Conforto and the Giants for those Mets fans who like Michael Conforto. So it looks like it's $36 million over the next 2 years. 2023 he gets $18 million. 2024 he gets $18 million. If he has 350 plate appearances in 2023, he does get that player option in the second year. So that's what we're seeing from John Heyman. But again, grain of salt. Maybe he's not even right. I watched that video. With all due respect, packages were bad. Listen, we get tons of comments about those videos. I think it creates a conversation. You can always give your package of everything. My gut feeling, but Ronnie Mauricio. I don't think that they trade Budo because of the uncertainty with the back end of the rotation. Obviously Senga being, a question mark. We don't know what he's going to turn out to be. McGill's health, Peterson's consistency, if Carrasco does get traded. I don't think they deal Budo, but again, he's not untouchable, of course. Mauricio, Vientos, Hendricks, and Jimenez. You're probably going to have to add, a pitching prospect in there. I'm not giving up on Allen yet. Well, where's Andrew at? He's actually not home. He's chilling in. I think he's actually traveling to New York. He won't. He probably will be there. Will for those of you who watch us, throughout the week. Andrew most likely won't be on many in the next 2 weeks. Many streams or many videos. Probably won't be on the podcast. But he didn't leave. He didn't disappear or anything. He's just not home right now. He's traveling. Yeah, well, Matt Allen, we'll probably make a whole separate video on why the Mets really need to move on at this point with him. And there's tons of reasons why they really, if someone can't stay healthy, you got to find somebody that can at this point, especially with the investment that they made into him, overslotting in the second round, being one of these, what was I gonna say? Shit. Probably being like the biggest high profile starting pitching option in their minor leagues, because a majority of their pitching prospects right now, and there's not many of them. Most of them look like they're going to be relievers, whether it's their health, whether it's their aspect of the game, like Ziegler with, command and control issues, and, Blade Tidwell with his health or whatever. Vassell is the verdict still out on him. And then Hamill, kind of like that lack of depth that he has in his arsenal, where, some pitches are not as effective. He might be a 2-pitch pitcher in the future. Matt Allen's like that only guy right now. Like that's the only guy. What's next? Jose Budo? I mean, Budo's a back end guy at his best. Doesn't even have like that remotely as good of a fastball. So, if you could move Allen with the upside and everybody, for those of you who like him as much as they do, I mean, for the value that he has right now, which probably is not much. They really should move on. I think they should, because we've heard nothing about this guy. We really haven't. We've heard nothing. Carrasco and Vientos to San Diego for Jay Groom and Wyan. I mean, sure. I mean, well, here's the thing. What's it called? Yeah, well, here's the thing. We actually had Jay Groom and Ryan Weathers as possible trade chips that the Mets could get back for Carlos Carrasco in that video. So I think you guys are just like reading our minds, or maybe you watch the video and you're trying to impress me with your memory or something. But I don't know. I don't know if we had. I don't know we had. Here's my. I didn't know we have. Yeah, so they signed Escobar to a 2-year, $20 million contract. And it was an opt-out in the third year. Club option in the third year. Which most likely, if they have Carlos Correa and he's still here, Eduardo Escobar, they're probably going to decline. Most likely. And if Beatty does break out as a left fielder, this is regarding if they do get it, Carlos Correa at this point. From what we're seeing, Canna's team option maybe could be declined as well if Beatty turns out to be good in left field and hitting very well and, shows that potential as a prospect very early on. So that's mostly the future deciding factors for these club options. and all these outs of contracts of money that can possibly come off the books. Yeah, currently we're still in the dark here. Whatever is being reported right now. We have John Heyman constantly just, repeating the same thing over and over and over, just has his thesaurus in front of him. The Mets gave a good contract offer. The Mets gave a good contract offer to Carlos Correa, and then the next hour, the Mets gave a splendid contract offer to Carlos Correa. That's basically what John Heyman is doing right now. Andrew McCutcheon as fourth outfielder. Wouldn't mind it. Would not mind it. Excuse me. We have a lot of young prospects, so that's a good thing. We do. But as for the depth going into AAA, it's definitely a concern. So they're going to have to load up on some guys that they can stash into AAA. When your backup infielder is Luis Guillorme and the next option you have is Devin Marrero, it's definitely not a good sight. I'll tell you right now. Definitely not a good sight. So there's definitely depth that they have to build within that minor league system. The pitching, I think they've done a very good job at it. For those of you that have any questions, let me know in the chat. I'll probably be on here for another, 10, 20 minutes. And I guess we'll be on our way because it looks like nothing's going to be dropping right now. But if it does, and we have, for the good or the bad, we'll go live for it, obviously. And for those of you who watch our podcast, it will be on this YouTube channel on Sunday. You can also listen on the 8 different platforms that are above my head. How long is Mendick out for? Is that a real question, or is that a Tomlin Stella for the bench? Another one. You think Matt Allen will ball out? I hope he does, because for what we've been waiting for, this guy, and from what we've expected from him, he better be the second coming of Jesus at this point if they do hold on to him. Is Correa really that upset with our offer? I don't think he's upset. I think it's just the guys representing that are. Maybe it is the lack of communication, the lack of dialogue that they have actually had. But we don't know. It's really a closed doors type of thing. 300 million over 9. I guess that's reasonable. What would that be, actually? Yeah, it's 33 million a year, right? Okay. I actually want to put this out here because this kind of just gets hidden away. This kind of does get hidden away in our description, and not many people check it down there. For those of you who want a question answered on the podcast, you can do it right here. Put your name. What is it? But yeah, for those of you who have not, you can fill out that Google form and make sure to get it. Make sure to possibly answer it. Okay. Have there been any updates on Correa? Well, from what we saw with Andy Martino, he did say that the Mets are really frustrated, or very frustrated, excuse me. Really and very whatever the hell you want to call it. But that's what we're looking at right now. And yeah, it can change in any minute. We don't know, but that's just how it is right now. Shit. I'd rather Adam Duvall as the fourth outfielder over McCutchen. Duvall supplies more power. I don't even know what the hell Duvall can do right now, to be honest. That dude he is just banged up. He is really banged up. And I'm not really the biggest fan of him. Strikes out a lot. Not really good with runners on base. Not good in high leverage. He's just not in it. I don't think he's that good, but whatever. Duvall has he's not an Epler bat. He really isn't. Jerickson Profar, on the other hand, that's an Epler type of bat right there. You think we're getting Ohtani next year? I think the connection with Billy Epler is so obvious, but if we don't, then I think that team in LA might swipe him. That's pretty much been the latest rumors about Ohtani going to the Dodgers, which is pretty scary. Maybe it's possible they're saving that up right now, why they've been so quiet. Cohen won't outbid. Cohen won't be outbid. Jesus Christ. Cohen won't be outbid for Ohtani. I'm sure he won't. If he wants him, he's going to get him. If, anything. Am I high or tired? Tired. Very tired. Getting tired of this Correa shit, really. I was not feeling well yesterday. I'll spare you guys the details, but it's been a shitty last few weeks. I have not been feeling like myself. Get some sleep. Oh, I've gotten plenty of sleep. Just felt like shit. If we don't get this deal done by tonight, I don't think it's going to happen. We'll see. I'm not fully panicking yet. But yeah, just forget Correa. Not worth the frustration. No, I will not forget about Correa. Correa is the greatest ever. They keep forgetting that the offense is not the only thing that the Mets look for in a player. Correa has big dick energy. Absolutely. Absolutely. They're big into defensive versatility. Duvall offers those qualities, including center field. He does, but so does Trey Mancini. So does Jerickson Profar, Robbie Grossman, Chad Pinder. Those guys are not really hurt and are not dog shit with runners on base. Him and Lindor have perfect teeth. Mancini's not an outfielder. Mancini can play the corners. He's a DH. He's not DH. He could be a DH. That's probably what they could bring him in for. You know what? Did you know that Carl had more RBIs than extra base? Is this Frank in the chat right now? Mancini sucked last year on the Stros. I would not go too deep into that. I would not go too deep into Mancini with the Astros. We already have somebody that sucks at DH. Mancini is one of those guys that I think would definitely succeed in this type of lineup, but we haven't really seen much of the Mets connected to him, so it's kind of just been me saying the praises that I want him. I heard Grossman rumors yesterday. I think it was Jim Duquette. Mancini's a small market player. He was in Baltimore his entire career. I mean, I don't really think there's really much you can say about any player in any market at this point. They do well in it. They do well in it. There's players that come from small markets. They come into big markets. They play well. Some guys don't. I mean, that's just how it is. Carson with a bunch of exclamation points. Randy Rose. Yeah, I saw you asking about that. Sorry, I'm just like flip-flopping around over here. Sorry about that. Rosarena. What about him? Is there some like there was some stuff about trades with him with some teams. I know the Mariners was there. I saw the Blue Jays, or not the Blue Jays. Shit. Cardinals was there, right? Cardinals wanted to get it back. I wonder if the Angels would dangle Ohtani, but you would have to take Trout's contract. I mean, I'll do it right now. Mike Trout on my baseball team? Absolutely. I'll take Mike Trout. I understand he has not been healthy, but he's Mike freaking Trout. That's your guy right there. If you want to bulk up this lineup, Mike Trout's your guy. And Shohei, why not? You know? Nimmo to left field? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nimmo would definitely go to left field. Or maybe Trout plays left field because he'd be less injured. It's possible. Trout and Ohtani with Correa. I mean, it's fantasy world, but it's not as far off with what we've seen from Steve Cohen so far. So we'll see. Yeah. Uncle Steve's a fucking bot. Yeah, he is. I don't know. We'll see who has the upper hand right now. I mean, we saw that the last 48 hours with Correa that the Mets seem to have the upper hand, right? Looks like Boras didn't like that after this whole report came out that they were talking to one or two teams on the other side. So that was obviously a Boras leak coming from the mouthpiece of John Heyman. So we'll see. And Soto in 2 years. Yeah, I mean, they'll be in line for pretty much any superstar every year. Obviously, they're going to be mentioned. I mean, that's how it's going to be. So no matter what happens with Correa, we still need a big bat. There's nothing on the market except for Adam Duvall. So do we make a trade? If not, say who? I don't know who the hell you trade for at this point. I mean, Devers they talked about Devers obviously being possibly traded after them reaching arbitration, but then he was extended. I think I would, I mean, Seth Brown is definitely someone out there that's most likely going to be traded from the A's. He's a big power bat. He's not as well known or household name as a guy like Correa or whatever. Plus, we have a lot of money. Absolutely, yep. Can anyone have a live stream chat? This is fun. I don't know what you're saying there, but I think Cohen will stay away from trades as much as possible. I don't think so. Actually. I don't think so. Oh, can I host a live stream? I don't know. I know you can do that on Twitch. Not sure. I like Correa as a player, but he shouldn't be trying to pressure Cohen. This is just a leverage battle. I mean, it really is a leverage battle right now. Am I concerned? Yes, I am pretty concerned, especially with how these days are pretty much melting away. And there's other things the Mets have to do this offseason. So it can definitely be like that. He learned his lesson. No trades, just signing free agents. I think he does make moves, though. I think you kind of have to with the lack of flexibility after putting Correa on this thing. So you look at, again, like I said, we've said this so many times. The bench pool right now for the Mets, you have 3 infielders in Escobar, Guillorme, and Beatty. You have 3 DHs in Darren Ruff, Mark Vientos, and Daniel Vogelbach. You have 3 catchers in Francisco Alvarez, Tomas Nido, and Omar Narvaez. So you're going to have to move somebody. You're going to have to move somebody because they still don't have a 4th outfielder. This flexibility, you can't have 3 DHs. It just can't fucking happen. It really can't. It makes sense, like, if you want to do a DH platoon, but for me, I would just do it. Just get the guy. Get the one guy, whether it is, just it needs to be a supporting bat. Like a supporting bat needs to be the DH. I don't think it should be an explosive star bat. I think the explosive star player should be Correa. But I do think they should add something afterwards. So if they get Correa, add a Mancini, maybe. Add something else. Denny Mendick is also an infielder. So, yeah, that's another thing. Denny Mendick is another possibility, which I think, personally, Denny Mendick does definitely make the possibility of them getting rid of Escobar a lot more possible. Epler should be able to trade both Vogelbach and Ruff. They're making... Yeah, it's very movable. Yeah. McNeil, the fourth outfielder. Well, he's also your starting second baseman right now. So... Yeah, of course you can move Guillorme to you can move Guillorme to second base when Jeff McNeil plays the outfield, obviously. But with an older outfielder, more injury-prone outfielder, especially with Nimmo and Marte, you need somebody else there, right? You really do need somebody else there because like Guillorme playing every day, Guillorme is a good player. Like he's a solid player. He's definitely a big backbone to the team. But he's not an everyday player. We know he's not an everyday player. I love Guillorme. Guillorme is the best, but let Beatty play third or Mauricio. Is that who you're trying to say? Mauricio, I think he is more of a third baseman, like the body that he has. I think he's a little too tall to be a second baseman. I mean, yeah, I think they will give Beatty the keys if they don't end up with Correa. But whatever. Correa from the beginning has stated that he won't be renegotiating any. Yeah, and I think that's the case still. I think the Mets know that, and they're still. It's very possible that you could get another deal similar to that, like 12 years, 310, right? 12 years, 11 years, 305, something like that. You could get something like that. But I think it's just more of the back end of that deal, which I personally don't care about. I think they're just here to win right now. They need to win right now. They have Verlander and Max Scherzer for just 2 years. You have to go all in for it. The back end of the deal, I don't care about right now. I really don't. About this crazy idea of the Mets pass on Correa, put Beatty in left field. I mean, it's not a crazy idea to put Beatty in left field. I think Beatty would be a fine left fielder. He'd be a great left fielder. Have Mauricio play third base. I think he'd have to earn that job because even though I don't think Eduardo Escobar is the ideal third baseman on a championship team, there still is a wall that Mauricio does have to get through, even if they don't sign Correa. I wonder why Boras is pissing off Cohen. He called Cohen a Goliath. I mean, it's just one of those leverage things. I mean, this is just how negotiations are. They're just like this. They can be. This is what Boras does. I mean, Boras makes you sweat things out. That's his thing. That's just his thing. Is it frustrating? Because he has these headline players that'll most likely pause your entire offseason? Yes. Stoney, thank you for tuning in, man. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see. Cohen signed Denny Mendick too quickly. I don't think that was a. I think Correa's a Cohen signing. I mean, again, some of these guys you can tell if it's a Billy Epler signing or a Steve Cohen signing. You can kind of see that. The type of hitter they are and their flexibility, that's Billy Epler. Mendick is a Billy Epler signing, in my opinion. My thing is... Oh, I think everyone's with you on that, Jeff. Don't care anymore. I mean, I wouldn't blame you. I don't blame you. For those of you in here, we got about 80-ish people in here. like the stream. That'd be greatly appreciated. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We just surpassed 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. And that means that there's a lot more opportunity on this channel for you guys, with donating. And I have to figure out some stuff with the memberships and everything. And we'll have some stuff coming in the future. But once again, for super chats, they are not mandatory at all. They are accepted, but they are not full-on mandatory. So don't feel the obligation to donate. But if you do, by all means, if you want to come support the channel, by all means, have fun. Any updates? When will he sign? I'm starting to think that we will come to a conclusion in the next 48 hours, but I could be wrong. I mean, that's just how it is. Ryan, thank you for the 199. Really appreciate it. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Just continue to support us. That's all we do. That's our thing. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. Feel like tonight is the night? Boy, I hope so. I hope it goes the Mets' way. I really do. I'm just hoping that the Braves don't swoop in with one of their fucking money laundering contracts, and that's it. We're just seeing mixed reports right now, and the latest has not been a good one. Yeah, I'm starting to believe, I think, the Mets have definitely put pressure on Correa and his camp recently. And I think, the Mets definitely put pressure, and they had the leverage, obviously, with the injuries and, Steve Cohen's money and everything. But I will say that they're definitely putting pressure back to Cohen. And I'm sure that, either Cohen wants to make another move where he's just like, okay, well, I'm going to say this now. I mean, that's just how these negotiations work. And we'll see how it works. We'll see what happens in the future. I'm in these next 48 hours. Braves are only in to force Cohen's hand. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, I still do think that Cohen kind of has that seniority now of kind of he has Boras's ear. I think they've definitely developed a good relationship in these last 2 years. They've definitely recovered a lot from it. They've definitely repaired it, obviously, with the whole Kumar Rocker situation. Remember him, guys? Remember him? Remember Kumar Rocker? Some like ages ago, right? Braves can't afford a Happy Meal. Yeah, I don't know how they do that, but you know what? Everyone I guess everyone that comes in, they love the Braves organization, Should the Mets trade for Gregory Soto and solidify the bullpen? I'm not the biggest fan of Gregory Soto. I think, okay, listen, for those of you who know me, you know what my one rule is with pitchers. You can't walk batters. That's my thing. I hate walks. Walks suck. And he's got a big walk problem. So that's not my number one choice. But yeah, Rocker going to be the number 2 behind DeGrom 2024. It's very possible. The Rangers have a lot of good arms that they drafted this year. So they definitely have a pretty good future of arms, especially just pitching. Hitting, I mean, they still have a young Seager and a young Simeon who are in the prime of their careers, but they had a really good draft, the Rangers. Nobody really actually talks about them. They actually did really well in the draft. Kumar Rocker, obviously, they still had Jack Leiter, his old teammate. And then they also got Brock Porter, too, who was a guy who got hurt, was supposed to be in like the top 20. But he got hurt, and then they got him in the underslot. So Mets should try to lock up their young players before they hit free agency. I think it's a little too late for that. I think it's a little too late for that at this point. Alonso. I mean, not young players. Okay. As for Alonso and McNeil, I think they go to free agency. And they test it. Obviously, I think the Mets want to obviously keep them, but they're going to go to free agency because I mean the ownership that was here when they had their 2 breakout rookie years, um, you know they didn't really have the chance to. But what I would do is if Francisco Alvarez does come up here and just he brings in this incredible rookie of the year campaign, extend him. Michael Harris, a Michael Harris extension type of deal with that. Extend him. He's only, and if you were to give him like an 8-year extension, right? He'd still be like a 28-year-old free agent because he's so young, right? 29-year-old free agent. So it still gives him the advantage, and the Mets can keep him long term, buy out the pre-arb years, everything. We should go after a more established player with better accomplishments like Trevor Bauer. No, absolutely not. Do you follow other Mets streamers? I mean, there are some good Mets creators out there. For those of you that watch us, I'm not going to trash talk any of them. I don't really have anything against any of the Mets creators. They all do their thing. Even if I don't, even if I don't, agree with anything that they say, I respect every, creator out here. I mean, this for some of us, for those of you who don't see like the behind the scenes of what goes on with some creators, I mean, it's not, it's definitely a job it's a tough job. It can be a tough job. It really can. It really, you have a lot of people, a lot of eyes on you. That's just kind of how it is. And you seem like a deal you want to have a beer with. I've never drank before. I'm not old enough to drink. I'm actually old enough to drink in a month, but I probably won't. I'm just not that interested in that type of thing. But I guess I'm the type of guy you want to sit down with. Yeah. But for those of you other Mets streamers, I mean, Wardy is obviously a good one. Decent friend of the channel. We've had some, we've been decent friends with him recently. Locked on Mets is pretty good. They do a pretty good job with Ryan Finkelstein, something like that. I forget how to say his name. Forgive me if he's watching this at any point. I forget. There's another creator that does pretty good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Can't think of it right now. Manny would be available next year. He would. Talking Mets and Rob, we've had him on here a few times. Yeah, all of them. I mean, I respect all of them. They all do their thing. Even if I don't agree with anything that they say, I mean, I there's a mutual respect there. Carlos, to be honest, do you really think we should sign Correa or not? Yes. Yes, especially from what we're hearing of all these injury concerns with his leg. Again, I've said this before, but all these injury concerns, and it looks like it's more of a long-term thing. And at this point, I think that like on the short term, where you have Verlander and Scherzer here, you have all these win now players, these short-term deals here. They got to go all in. They do. I'm confused. Why am I not seeing all the comments? There's 2 modes on the chat. There's top chat, and then there's live chat. All messages are visible for live chat. I don't know why they do it like that. It's weird. That's one of the weird YouTube streaming things. It's kind of weird. How did Wardy get Wrecker? And how did Wardy get Wrecker and Blevins? I know Blevins does that other podcast with Jolly Olive. the Shea Station thing, right? And then you have Wardy with Wrecker and his other co-host. They do their Believe in Queens podcast as well. What about Bobby Witt Jr. from KC or Mateo from the Orioles or Rosario? Tatis would be better than Correa. I mean, true, but I don't think Correa. I don't think Tatis gets moved. Wilpons would sign Bobby Witt Sr. Probably. It's possible. Very possible. The Wilpons would have signed, okay, Danny Mendick, right? That would have been our biggest signing under the Wilpons. Do I think Musgrove cheated? No. No, I don't. I don't think Musgrove cheated. I mean, at this point, it's water under the bridge. I don't really care at this point. You were at that game? I'm sorry, man. I'm really sorry. There has never been a playoff clinching win at Citi Field by the Mets. There's been a lot on our field, but there has not been one by the Mets. They have not celebrated one at Citi Field yet. The vibe into that game felt off. Yeah, Bassett just threw a stinker. He just did not look good. It was just dead. It really was. Took the life out of everything. You usually don't see Bassett buckle down like that, because I really was surprised, because Bassett's one of my favorite pitchers in baseball. Of course, my dad's a big A's fan, so I followed him a lot in Oakland, and he never really would break down, especially in back-to-back starts like that. You know, he had that whole rough up in Atlanta, and then, game 3, he just choked. And I don't think that defines him as a pitcher. I think, he's a good pitcher to have as a big game pitcher. He just didn't have it. He really just didn't have it. It sucked. And I wish him the best in Toronto. Trevor Bauer, touch or slip. I'm not. I don't think the Mets should get Trevor Bauer personally. I'm not the biggest on Trevor Bauer. I just think he's a distraction. He really is. If Correa doesn't sign, will Beatty play third? Most likely. It's most likely. I think it's his job to lose in spring training, if that's the case. But we'll see as this carries on, because a lot can change in a few seconds. I mean, we saw what happened with the Nimmo extension, right? It looked like he was on the way out, and then the Mets just slipped in that extra year into 8 years, and he's back in New York. I'd rather have one more year with Escobar and Beatty and go get Manny Machado after the season's over. I don't think that's as good of a good option as you think it is. I'm going to tell you right now, because, again, you don't know how long these guys are going to, how long, these older guys are going to hold up, right? You don't know how Verlander is going to hold up. You don't know if he stays healthy. I mean, we all talk about, he's got a brand new UCL or whatever. You put on a Mets uniform, you're automatically more injury prone than you ever were. That's the fact of it. And then, of course, Scherzer, he has those injury concerns. We've had some points of regression with him, but I think, he'll figure it out. But, you don't know how much these guys are going to hold up. And then I think, we talked about it last year with this entire Mets team. It was the Mets were going to go as far as DeGrom and Scherzer were going to take them, right? And Scherzer pitched like shit in the playoffs, right? And there you go. Who has bigger year, McGill or Peterson? I'm a McGill fan. I am not a fan of David Peterson. For those of you who watch us regularly, I made a Peterson makes me so nervous. Like, the intensity that this dude sweats at, right? Is like, it's like, it's like to the extreme of like Trevor May, right? But like Peterson's another one of those guys. It's just I hate watching him. I hate watching him. I really hate watching him. I'm sure he had a great year overall. Lack of consistency too. Only really had like 2 good cherry picked months. But you know what? Whatever. Don't don't go after me at all. Even though you'll go after me with Peterson. Peterson gives you Matt's vibes. I don't think it's as extreme as Matt's, but yeah. Didn't Peterson walk the bases loaded in the first inning? Yeah, against the Cubs. Yep. I'll always remember that one. He's not the type of guy that I'd point to. Now Tyler McGill, on the other hand, he's just got to stay healthy. I don't trust I don't trust Peterson. I don't trust Peterson, but but I do. Okay, I don't trust Peterson, but I also don't trust Tyler McGill's health either. One question for you, Carson, with that. Okay, did you ever see a player of any sport? Did you ever see a player of any sport that he was offered for $1 billion in a month? I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm gonna say no. Maybe. I think Oakland is gonna sign Trevor Bauer, take all the heat in the beginning of the season, trade him at the deadline because he'll have a monster year. We'll see. Ramon's English isn't great. I'll give him a pass. He'll be fine. I mean, the A's already got their own Trevor. They got Trevor May now. So, I mean, we all know that Trevor Williams is better than Trevor Bauer anyway, right? So, what's the need for that, right? I still have nightmares about Manaya's press conferences. Wait, what? Which ones are you talking? Manaya actually just took a job with the Yankees yesterday. I will get Trevor Bauer. You would get Trevor Bauer when he was the. Oh, yeah. Okay. I understand what you mean. Manaya did some good things and he did some bad things. Like he some moves you liked, some moves you don't. Shane Bieber rumors. His English hurts my ears. Christ. All right. Yeah. I wish Phillips was still the GM. He slung a hard hash on them. So I mean, Manaya did, he did his fair share of good things. Yeah, he is responsible for drafting Jacob deGrom. He is responsible for drafting Brandon Nimmo. Responsible for, I forget. Matt Harvey. Yeah, Harvey. Harvey obviously didn't turn. He drafted 2 anti-vaxxers. Listen, I don't give a shit what somebody does with their body. I really don't care. I'm not, would I prefer that somebody does take the vaccine? Of course, because the resources are out there. I don't want Diaz. Oh, Alexis Diaz? Yeah, I mean, they do. He does have some similar waves to it. I can name 10 outfielders they can trade for. Well, great. I mean, put them down on a list and we'll make it into a video. Depends if you want power, speed, contact, or all 3. I'd like all 3. Give me some versatility. Can you name 11? Okay. Can anybody name 12? Let's start the bidding. I know, Jeff. I'm sorry. Not Jesus Christ. All right. Okay. 13. Can anybody raise them 14? I know this was going to happen. You have your alerts turned on from Twitter. I just kind of just go in and out of it. It's usually I usually get like instant text messages from amongst the four of us. I'm sorry about my English. I yeah, I have tough times with English too, so it's fine. Omar signing with the Yankees was a punch in the face to Steve Cohen. Maybe. Tyler McGill had 6 good weeks in his whole career. Peterson's better and more valuable because he's a lefty. Exactly. So trade him. All right. If he's valuable, then trade him. Sorry. I personally think McGill's a better pitcher. That's just me, but he's got to be healthy to prove that. But hey, whatever. That's just my opinion. Just saying. Having Chipotle tonight. What should I order off the menu? I'm not a big Chipotle fan. I actually am not. I'm the opposite Chipotle. I'm more of a salsa fresca type of guy. For those of you who know that place, it's more better. Better, in my opinion. But just read Rangers. Just read Rangers in on Reynolds big time. That could be a possibility. I saw them in on a lot of outfielders during the off season. During the off season, this off season, it looks like they were in on Haniger. They were in on Conforto, obviously. Judge, like for a second, I saw that, but never really got anywhere. So yeah, they could trade for Reynolds. It's possible. You can trade. I think we trade Cookie for a controllable arm. There's been reports about that, and we did do a video about that of 5 different destinations for Carlos Carrasco, along with some pieces that could come back in return. But I'm probably going. Just Googled salsa fresca. Oh, lucky you. It's a Chipotle knockoff. I think it's better than Chipotle, personally. All right, so now that we're starting to talk about food, I think this is where we're going to come towards the end of the stream. I'm going to give it 5 more minutes. Y'all can say whatever y'all want, and then we'll hop off here, and then maybe we'll be back. I don't know. Maybe, it just quickly moves, and we get an update. For those of you who have not hit the subscribe button yet, please do. Be greatly appreciated. Like the stream as well. Will you hop on for breaking news? Always will hop on for breaking news. We hop on for pretty much all of the breaking stories. And we also we do our podcast every Sunday. 60 minutes of brutal honesty. Mets weekly podcast. Talk about everything that goes on in the week. And then also 1 or 2 videos throughout the week as well. That video came out a few days ago. It was 3 potential trade packages for Liam Hendricks among the rumors. That 2 years, $38 million contract was looking okay right now. They want from stocks genius. Yeah, I mean, if this whole Carlos Correa thing falls through, then yeah, it will look like that. I'm a big Michael Conforto supporter, so if he does do well, I will be shoving it in my co-host's face because they usually trash talk me for being such a Conforto supporter. But you know what? Screw it. Screw him. Adolis Garcia, Randy Rosarina, Tyler O'Neill, Stephen Kwan, Byron Buxton, Cedric Mullins, Jake McCarthy, Ryan Reynolds, Mike Trout, Acuna. Damn, no salsa fresca and yeah, they have I think they have national commercials. I think I don't know if they do. Maybe they're just a New York thing. I don't know. Sorry. If that was false information, I apologize. I will issue a statement later. But yeah, but currently what we're looking at right now is that the Mets are apparently very frustrated, I guess, right now. There's been some leverage back and forth. I'm gonna go listen to O&A clips on YouTube. Well, thanks for stopping by. For those of you who have joined this stream in and out, for those of you watching on the playback, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like the stream, be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys again for 1,000 subscribers that we just hit a few days ago. So yeah, we're still in the waiting game. This is day 16. Let's hope there's not a day 17. Hopefully we full on just finally get an answer. And, we can just put this thing to bed and the Mets can move on to other things in the offseason because they have some stuff that they also have to work on, including some depth, adding some arms, and some other things as well in between. So for those of you, I think you'll get, okay, so let me restart that. Episode 4 of the podcast coming out on Sunday. Obviously, it's usually either noon or 1 o'clock Eastern time. We'll talk about the whole Carlos Correa saga, some other things, and yeah, we're going to be recording that tomorrow. For those of you who have not checked out our most recent video, 3 trade packages for trade packages for Liam Hendricks. That's out as well. We also have a Twitter now. It's in our community page. If you guys want to go check that out. We might start a Discord. I don't know. I'm kind of debating it as of right now. Debating on how I want to do it. So, but other than that, guys, I'll see you guys next time. What's a Discord? A server of people, basically a group chat of, people that can voice chat, stuff like that. Explain, ask a young person what it is. But I'm going to go for now, guys. For those of you who's tuned in, thank you so much. For those watching on playback as well, let's just hope there's not a day 17. That's it. That's all we're hoping. Let's hope we get a resolution soon. We're, I guess, coming to the finish line since a lot of stories are coming out. But so, yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Let's go Mets. For all of the Mets fans in here, if you're not a Mets fan, thanks for coming out as well. And yeah, that's it. Podcast coming out on Sunday, episode 4. We'll see you guys next time, and maybe it'll be breaking news that the Mets signed Carlos Correa, and all this drama will be done. So we'll see you guys next time. Peace. And yeah, let's go Mets. See you guys next time.